Alrighty, we are back with some more math, and to kick off this lesson, we are going to do a little bit of more algebra review. So, your goal on this slide is to create an equation that correctly represents the information from that table, this table right here. So, between A, B, C, and D, go ahead and pause the video and try and tell me which one correctly shows the relation from that table. Go ahead and pause the video, I'll get back to you in 1 second. When you're doing these types of problems, we got to find the relationship from the x and the y. So basically what we're doing to the x to equal the y. Well, if I'm looking at this, I notice that the y values are all greater than the x values, and it's corresponding x values here. So like 36 to 12, 270 to 90, so on and so forth. If you look at it, they are all proportionally greater than the x value as well. They are all going to be 3 times bigger than its corresponding x value. So when I'm looking at this, what we're doing to the x equal to y, well, basically we're just multiplying the x by 3 to equal to y. So 12 times 3 is 36, 20 times 3 is 60, 90 times 3 is 270, and 100 times 3 is 300. So basically it's 3 times our x value equals our y value. It's supposed to be a y. So which one, A, B, C, or D, is doing 3 times x equals y? Well, this is saying 3 times y equals x. That's just the opposite. That's what we're looking at. This is x plus 24. That's not right. This is literally the same thing, just backwards. This one is saying 3 times x equals y. So your answer there is going to be C. Now, if you don't like that way, another strategy, what it's asking right here, is what else can we use? We can just plug in our values. We have x values on our left, y values on our right. So we can just say, we can plug in 12 whenever we see an x, plug in y whenever we see, or plug in, 36 whenever we see a y. So for A, let's use that top row. X equals 3y. So x is 12 equals 3y, 3 times y, so 3 times 36. Well, is 3 times 36 12? Absolutely not. Too much. Over here, x is 12 again. I'm going to say 12 plus 24. 24 is the same. Equals y is 36. Is 12 plus 24 36? Yeah, it is. But they have to be true throughout. So then if I look at the next one, x is 20 plus 24 is 20 plus 24, or y is 60. Is 20 plus 24 60? Nah, that one does not work. Now for C, if you plug them in, y is 36 for this top one. So is 36 equal to 3 times 12? Yeah, that one works. Plug in the next one. 60 equals 3 times 20? Yep. Is 270 equal to 3 times 90? That works. Last but not least, 300 equal to 3 times 100? That one also works. So that answer, again, is going to give us C. That one takes a little longer, but you can just plug in your values and see if it works. If it does for every single one, move on to the next problem. You got it right. All right, we're going to go over some more box and whisker stuff. From the last lesson, you should be able to define these vocabulary words. So if we're in class and say define, pick 2 out of 5 to define, you should be able to define all 5. So when I'm looking at this stuff, remember min means the minimum, aka the lower extreme. What does the minimum represent in a data set? Just the smallest value. The smallest number you see in a data set. Which means the maximum is going to be what? The opposite of the minimum. So instead of the smallest number, max is going to be the greatest number. Median is probably going to be the most important part, finding the stuff that helps us kind of create the stuff. That's our starting point when creating these box and whisker plots. That is our middle number. That's where that line in the middle of the box is going to be. And then based off that, anything to the left is going to be our lower half. So Q1 is the number in the middle of the lower half, which means Q3 is the number in the middle of the upper half. And once you have those 5 values, the 5 data point set, you're able to create a box and whisker plot. It would look like this, but those would be dots. Moving on, again, sure I already had these down. This is the definitions that you already wrote down. Hopefully, if you didn't, please write them down. They help out immensely when moving forward in this unit. Again, minimum is the smallest number, maximum is the biggest number. Median is that middle number. Once you have them in order from least to greatest, once you got that, from this line over is the lower half. from this side over is the upper half. The middle number is going to be the start of the box. The middle number, the lower half, I should say. The middle number of the upper half is going to be the end of that box right there. So, if I'm looking at this stuff, got to be able to answer these types of questions. Now, from the last lesson, we realized that each little section, remember, look, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, might have been the way. 1 section, 2 sections, 3 sections, 4 total sections, which means that each little piece represents 25% of the data. Percent out of 100, so to represent all the data, 100 divided by 4 is 25. So each little portion, 25%, from the start of the box to the middle of the box, 25, from the median to the end of the box is 25, and from the end of the box to the max is also 25. So number 1 says, what percent of the data is less than 40? Well, 40 marks Q3. I'm looking for how many sections, since we're talking about percents, how many of those sections are less than 40? We have 1 section there, another section there, and another section there. So we have 25% plus 25% plus 25%, 25 plus 25 plus 25 is 75%. So you can say 75% of the data is less than 40, which means just 25% is more than 40. Because there's 3 sections to the left of 40, that means 75% of that data is going to be less than our Q3, or less than 40. What is the value of Q3? Well, we just said Q3, that value is going to be 40, and Q1 is the start of the box, that's going to be 24. Now, number 3 says, what is the interquartile range? We learned this from last lesson. Interquartile range can be abbreviated with IQR. And IQR is asking the length of the box. How far Q1 is from Q3. You can just solve this by doing Q3 minus Q1. Q3 is 40, Q1 is 24, 40 minus 24 is 16. So the interquartile range is just 16. So you can say, how far is Q1 from Q3? 16 units. Last but not least, what percent of the scores are between 24 and 40? So what percent is between Q1 and Q3? Well, look, there's 1 section there and another section there, which is 25 plus 25 is 50. So 50% is between Q1 and Q3, which is important to remember. So you just know that 50%, or that box represents 50% of the data, or 50% of all the data. Half all the data is going to be within that box, which means half of it's going to be also outside the box, but the middle 50% is going to be within that box right there. All right, this is going to be the last slide to practice before we get into today's work. Go ahead and pause the video, try and beat me to it. Create a box and whisker plot. So once you have them in order from least to greatest, tell me what the minimum is, the maximum, the median, Q1 and Q3. Once you got these 5, you should be able to create a box and whisker plot. And then the challenge question is, tell me the IQR. IQR is easy, just do Q3 minus Q1. Go ahead and pause the lesson, or excuse me, pause the video, and get back to us when you got one created. All right, so I'm looking at this stuff. We got NBA teams at the All-Star break. How many wins each team has? Well, I see a bunch of data here. It can't really help me until I have them in order from least to greatest. So I see the biggest number is 31, so that's going to be way over there. Next biggest is looking like 26. 25 is going to be over here. 22, 21, 6 is going to be over here. 9, 11, whoops, 12, 12, and 14. So once you have it in order from least to greatest, 6, 9, 11, 12, 12, 14. It's looking pretty good so far. So now I can answer my 5-point data set. The minimum, what's the smallest number? It's going to be that 6. What's the maximum number? It's going to be 31. The middle number, since there's 11 values, there should be 5 on either side. So it looks like that's going to be our minimum. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the left, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the right. So our median is going to be at 14. Q1, well, I'll split up like this. Here's my lower half. So the middle number of that lower half, there's 2 to the left, 2 to the right. So 11 is going to be Q1. Upper half, that's our middle number. There's 2 to the left, 2 to the right. So 25 is going to be Q3. Once you have that, you go ahead and create your box of whisker plot. Go ahead and draw like the median. Go ahead and put a 14 under it. And then Q1 is 11, so that's gonna be kind of near it. That's the first part of the box. The box is ending way over here at 25. And then the easiest ones, minimum, it's gonna be 6. Maximum is 31. So your box and whisker plot should look something like that. Once you got these 5 things, minimum, maximum, medium, Q1, Q3, you go ahead and create your box and whisker. IQR, again, remember it's Q3 minus Q1, basically saying how long is this box or how far Q1 is from Q3. Basically Q3 minus Q1, 25 minus 11 is 14, so that IQR can be 14 units. If you're able to create that box of whisker plot of your own, you should be good to go.